He will be held accountable in the blazing fire, in embers, ice, and fire, in which the souls of the unrighteous will be held accountable, because she, the daughter, has been deprived of wage payment and alms donation. Renounced by Yawar and separated from Nazarutha, she broke up with Nazarutha, and her father went and planted them in the turbid water. When she appears the Iker's offerings, your father will be judged. When she goes to the soothsayers and Chaldeans, will he be held accountable at the throne of the angry Nerig? I speak to you of firmness and mindfulness, as well as from the Kushta, which came from the great life. Everyone who smells the fragrance of life and does not pronounce the name of life about it will be held accountable in the house of Abathur. Anyone who smells the smell of fortune-tellers and Chaldeans will make one smell the smell of putrefaction. Anyone who prepares offerings for the Ikers and idols, you will be allowed to climb the dark mountain. Who is the food of the guests and the feast of the planets will be tormented on the throne of Nerig. Anyone who enjoys the food of the offerings of the temples will die as the Hamurthas of the house die. Who keeps himself free of all these actions will rise up and look at the place of light. The souls of the righteous will be held up in the guardhouses of the unrighteous will be held in the guardhouses of the planets. You will be tied up in the guardhouses of the planets and die of thirst away from the world. They will give you a handful of water a day to drink and punish you because of the ugly works that they did in the week that the world was committed. Far be it from the men of tried righteousness who are true and believers, far be it from the good and believing women who have donated alms and have heard the call of life and called to the Jordan, having descended, having received baptism, and having accepted the pure sign, and know not the torment of that place. I observed the commandments that my brothers told me. I accepted them and led them in fullness and have come through wisely. From the floods of water to the building of Jerusalem, souls rose up to the light. From the building of Jerusalem to the age, I stayed among my disciples as an Arab Muhammad. I chose and let them ascend to the place of light. The age of the Arab Muhammad until the onset of destruction, I left the middle of my disciple. I went away and ascended to Mashuni Kushta. I said, Hail, and once again salvation to the one who takes care of himself. Because of evil, the uncleanness and menstruation took over too much for me. I went and ascended to Mashuni Kushta. I said, how painful it is for me, my disciples who are at the end of that age, because they pay little attention to the pearls and keep them in the spaces of indulgence, and in music therefore they sink into the great soup sea. Woe to my disciples who do not see the place of light. From the day of destruction to the fall of the Tibble, many souls ascend to the light. As for wickedness and uncleanness, I was too overwhelmed. I could no longer stay in this world. I ascended before life, my father, and it left me in his own Shkinta housing. I said, Hail to him who takes care of himself. A man who takes care of himself has no equal in the world. He will be king in the light world, and like the great ones, he will be a great one in the place of light. The light is victorious in the house of perfection. Life is victorious. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. I am a gentle vine which I planted out of the place of glorious splendor. Created I was and planted from the place of magnificent splendor, and the great life was to me the planter and creator. The great life to me was the planter, and it made me shine even more than I already had. Shine to the one I already had, put it over me, a well-preserved figure that was kept hidden from me. It created me, strengthened me, and gave me order. It equipped me through his word and created helpers for me. It granted me speech and hearing, large and unlimited. It taught me about the great splendor and about the light that looms in the hidden place. It equipped me by his word and created helpers for me. The helpers who it created for me are miraculous and without number. The Great One called me and gave me orders and strengthened me in the hidden place. It awarded me secret speeches and taught me about everything. It taught me about the first and about the great one, which was from time immemorial. It taught me with enlightenment and strengthened me by his miraculous reputation. My father blessed me with his blessing and put some of his planting over me. He gave me praise extended and unlimited. He gave me enlightenment which is without defect and lack. He kissed me with his pure mouth and covered me with inner garments. He put me in a cloud of light, and sent me to the pure Tarwan. He spoke, "Go after the pure Tarwan and teach the Uthras who have settled there. Give them light and shining so that they sit in mutual enlightenment. Grant them of your praise so that they may maintain their status in the house of life. Take them into the great community so that they will be counted among your number. Let them be counted among your number, and there is neither lack nor lack of them. Teach them about the Uthras of the pure Tarwan and about all beings of light. Teach them about the great light of life and about the Uthras and Shkintas created in it. Teach them about the hidden vines and the pure trees that shine over the Jordan. Teach them about the worlds of the Lord of greatness and about the shining and the light that dwells there. Teach to them of the pure Hararan in which this miraculous voice was called. Speak to them of the aether earth. They build and founded it in such an excellent way, so she built and founded Yawar, and so he was their builder. Their builder he was so. Then he called in her a miraculous call, so he founded Shkintas in it, and spread gloss over them to a great extent. Then they made him king over the light, and they set Uthras to his right and left to keep him company. You should keep him company and raise him up in his Shkinta. Teach them about the great upper fruit and the Shkintas they founded in the hidden place. Teach them about the great first manna and the great Jordan in which he was baptized. I, Hibble, departed from my father Yawar Mandadahaya and went to the pure Tarwan. I came there, created 7 worlds of light, and he set up in them 7 kings of a perfect kind. I created 7 chambers for them out of water, and new palaces that do not pass. With my splendor, my light, and my praise, which my father, the great life, created for me in a perfect form, with my enlightenment, which the great life grants me, with the tremendous speeches I brought with me, with the hidden, mighty, exalted, consolidated, and guarded, I brought from the great first father's house sayings with shiny crosses, which it created for me, and prayers that my father, the Lord of greatness, performed, which have been preserved with me. The great face of glory called me and gave me orders, this and his image that sits with him. It spoke, "When you go to the pure Tarwan, do not address your speech to the evil Uthras. Do not submit them to the creation of the second life, from which all evil has arisen. Error and deficiency arose due to the same, and the league was seated in the world. Do not share with the enlightenment the knowledge and the praise, as well as the hidden speech that has come from the hereafter. Do not take the tremendous speech and throw them into the murky water. Do not recite them to the evil Uthras, the Uthras that Yoshamin created. Do not recite them to the Uthras, those who are not peculiar to concealment, calmness, and silence. Grant them only to the Uthras of the pure Tarwan, who came from the creation of life. Give it to 1 of 1,000. Grant them 2 out of 10,000. Give it to 1 of 1,000 so that they can teach each other. Teach each other and take oaths of allegiance to one another. Oaths of loyalty should they teach from each other, and do not deny your speech. As life, my father commanded me. I went to the pure Tarwan and left a call there in the pure Tarwan. I could hear a call far off, and the pure Tarwan shone and shone beyond measure. I granted my enlightenment and praised the Uthras who love my name. I taught the hidden Uthras and the light kings I created. I taught the king of pure Tarwan about the shine and light that are stored there. I taught him about the world of the Lord of greatness, whose name, Ether, is great light of life. I taught him about the great face of glory, and about Nitufta and what sits with him. I taught him about the Uthras, about the pure vines and trees, which shine over the Jordans. I taught him about the knowledge and gave him eternal enlightenment. I enlightened his form like mine, and gave him dominion over all beings of light, who dwell on the earth of the pure Tarwan. Then he rose from his throne and bowed before me. He bowed and bowed to me and blessed me with great endless blessings. He spoke, "There is no lack of you, and your creation shall not be darkened. Your works shall not pass away, and you are a great one, a son of mighty ones. You are the master of the Uthras, the father of all perfections. The power of your pure name will we climb up on the paths of the Kushta behind you, on the paths of the great light, which was brought you out of the hidden. From the hidden it was brought you forth and made the great chosen one. It made you the great chosen one, and as a ruler over us. It has appointed you as ruler over us, so that there should be neither lack nor lack of us. I then broke up from him and came to the world of Tarel. I enlightened the Uthras and Shkintas who were in the world of Tarel. I spoke in my enlightenment, and my radiance went up over Yoshamin. The Uthras shone, the great rejoiced, all the lights were up. Yoshamin was delighted with his brilliance and enlightened all Uthras. He enlightened the evil Abathur he created, but did not create anything completely. Nothing shone and became right under his hand, because he did not give his father the rights. Under the call, enlightenment, and praise of the Uthras, my shine went up over the curtain of the Tahil. Over the curtain of Tahil my radiance rose, and Tahil's heart was filled with weeping. His heart was filled with weeping, and a tear squeezed in his eye. He spoke, "The beloved son of the mighty, first life has come, who enlightened all Uthras to a great extent. What is my day among the days, the day when all the Uthras stood with their praises? The Uthras stood there with their praise, and the Shkintas rejoiced and flaunted beyond measure. Then the Uthra spoke to him who sat with him. My day among all days is the day on which the splendor of Hibilziwa rose. The splendor of Hibilziwa rose and enlightened us in our Shkintas. He will bless us in his goodness, and he will ascend to the place of light. He will ascend to the light. Our sin and guilt will be forgiven. Your name is established in the house of the great life, and your Father will not condemn us in darkness." When Tahil heard this, he rose from his throne and bowed to me. He spoke, deep bowing, "When my father Mandadihaya likes, he will soon destroy the house. He will destroy the house soon, and all their works are to be destroyed and destroyed. The right part of the men of proven justice rise up. He dwells in the place of truth, from the whole Tibble, and ascends to the part of the light. Let the Hebrew speech ascend, it is thrown into the collapsing ruined. Then the whole Tibble will be destroyed, and the works in it shall corrupt. Out of 1,000 one rises, out of 10,000 two. Let the souls of the Nazorians ascend, who did not enjoy the food of the children of Tibble. They have not been contaminated by dirt, and did not accept perversity and filth. They did not accept perversity and dirt, and were not restrained in the turbidity of the Tibble, were not restrained by the works of Tibble. On the other hand, the works of Tibble and their tribes and souls, as well as Ruha, Mashia, and the 12 gates, walking into the blazing fire. But the true and believing men will ascend and look at the light residence. Life is held high and is victorious, and victorious is the man who went there. Third piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light, at the beginning of creation of living water, and at the end of all Jordans, at the beginning of the drawing of living water, which was pulled down from its place and came here, when the plan came into being. And the water from this place was formed, when the firmament stretched out and the earth was sealed, when the physical Adam arose and guardians were appointed to him, when the man was formed from his original container and limped and fell into a body. Then they thought to bring in living water to throw into the murky water, and add water that runs, and to order keep from it. The guardians who would be appointed over it should spread gloss over it, should be with the voice of life, and pull the root up there. They created the train of living water and bestowed it on the two firstborn. The two firstborn they awarded him, the first creation that had come from the first life. They created Silmai and Nidbai, and they made them helpers. They gave them enlightenment and blessed them with good blessings. They gave you knowledge, which is more miraculous than all the world. They gave them a noble reputation to rouse the sleeping ones and make them get up. They should awaken the souls who have stumbled away away from the light. You should wake her up and shake her up so that they raise their faces to the place of light. They drew the living water, and it arrived in the world. When the living water arrived from the house of life, he was in pain and groaning. In sorrow it was, and in moaning, and his strength diminished. It reduced his strength, and it spoke to Silmai and Nidbai, by whose power I was drawn and cut off from my place, who cut me off from knowledge that more miraculous than all the world is, who cut me off from Kushta and the primordial container and the community which is linked to your place and ascends to it, who cut me off from the figure who wears to wear the uthras at the place of light, who cut me off from the hidden speech in which the two mountains are talking, who cut me off from the hidden speech where the great men talk. When will I see the shape of the two faces who worship each other? Because the place I am going to is of a dark form that does not shine. Taken away is my strength, and I am cut off in the murky water. There is evil in me. I am lacking and lacking. The planets are doing a wrong thing to me, and my mind and my root will be taken away. The creatures receive power over me, the worthless fiend. The bodies are murdered inside me, and blood is poured out on me. The evil takes over in the Tibble, and my impulses become numerous. The planets oppress me with floods of water, and so the souls in me perish. When his speech was delivered, the living water at Silmai and Nidbai replied, and they came forward from their place. They spoke with their tremendous speech about living water as follows. Be calm, living water, and calm down. We want to talk to you about this and that. We want to talk to you about the lack, the suffering, and the evil that started from the second life. And speak to you about the wickedness that emanated from Tahil Uthra, who rose up out of the black water. Tahil rose from the black water, and all the ugly, pernicious works that went up with him the shortage sword, with him was sighing. But because Abathur raised his pure rights, that his works shall not perish, because he is the soul, that they do not die in the muddy water, should they not die in the muddy water, and the seven shall have no authority over them. You living water, go to the falling ruin, call the call of life, and the wide gloss over the house. Be a helper to the souls who are persecuted for Yawar's sake. In you they shall receive the living baptism, and be drawn in you with the pure sign. Through you the pains and infirmities are to be healed which emanate from the planets. Then the living water spoke about Silmai and Nidbai as follows. When I fall into the burning water, I will not win over Yawar. The trial will be made for me, and the men of proven righteousness will take me. And when my root is taken away, and my brightness rises to its place, I also climb up from the Tibble, and will be held accountable before the great light, because of my sins, and because of my transgressions, with whom I am sinned in the dark places, when I, the living water, held accountable for this tribe of the Nazorians. What will I say to that? Silmai and Nidbai replied, following the living water. One rises out of 1,000, 2 out of 10,000. Zur, Shkinta, in the mighty first life, the souls of the mixture that lie and do not ascend. Anyone who has a mistake, it is not considered suitable for the great first life. You free yourself and lift yourself up of the pains and infirmities caused by the seven, and that does not equal Tahil Uthra, who rose up out of the black water. He did not receive the sign from Jordan, and was not baptized in living water. He was not baptized in living water. He did not accept the great Kushta. However, the Tibble will perish, and the works of the house will be destroyed, and heaven's wheels will be thrown into confusion, and broken the chains of the murky, lightless earth. Because her parents did not take advice, and they did not take advice, they did not instruct them, and to them because they took pride, not talking about this and that, and they sat there in their own shackles. When the house is destroyed and the spirit of the seven ends, it will take the shape of the 12 stars and will be spoiled. who persecute this tribe of life. The works of the whole Tibble will fall into confusion, and the whole firmament will be shaken. Then will come Yoshamin, Abathur, and Tahil, and will look at this world. There will come a shock in her heart, and they will beat on the atria of their chest. You will see how the tribe of souls overall will sink into turbidity on that great day of judgment, and will the verdict be pronounced on Yoshamin, Abathur, and Tahil. After that comes Hibilziwa, who will lift them up out of this world. Yoshamin and Abathur, they are baptized in the Jordan of the mighty first life. Then they get Tahil Uthra from the clouds of fog with the rot in which he sits. He is baptized in the Jordan of the mighty first life. In that Jordan the rot is scraped off of him. He will embrace the first life and tell about the footblock and the shackle that he has in the world. He will tell about the suffering that he had to endure and what happened to him from his father. He will be called King of the Uthras and maintain dominion over the whole tribe of souls. He will be called King of the Nizorians, and prayer and praise will ascend to him, and life is victorious. Fourth piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. When the brightness was created from their place, the man went and was born. He came to the world of failure, and it was given to sin in abundance. The man who gave him the brightness called him and armed him and gave him insistent orders. He spoke to him, "The garment of brightness I give you, so that with it you will brighten up the darkness of the decrepit house. When the glare of the sun is obscured, your brightness will rise. When the man lies with his wife under your horoscope, will the seed be established under your testimony in the shiny root. You lit up her face and delivered them from pain and infirmity, and of all the creatures that are of no use, you feed them from wickedness and the suffering of the decrepit house. For the root of the living seed has been entrusted to your hands. Enlighten you and brighten and strengthen their tribe to a great extent." Then Sin spoke to the man who had clothed him with brightness. "One day a month I remain hidden, and my rays are veiled. My rays are hidden, and the two guardians take care of it. When I'm not there, and the men then lie with their wives, so that woman on that day become dumb, deaf, and ugly figures out of them. When she receives on that day, and they become deaf and lepers, handless and footless emerge from them. The planets confuse the seed and do all evil to him. Then the man spoke to him who had clothed him with brightness, which comes about on those days are unfit for our tribes. They are not counted among us and not counted to our root for all time. He is a son of the root of darkness. He will return to the nest from which he came. Then he called to him, commanded him, warned and admonished him, and let him have firmness and mindfulness. He spoke to him, "Pay attention to the tribe of souls, to the one you left in the world." He bowed and moved away from him, and he went to the house of Abathur. He arose and went to the house of Abathur and descended to the guard houses. He got up and descended to the guard houses to break the bill complete in all respects. On the day when he is deprived of the Tibble, in the hours when he is hidden from the world because of the impulses he hurls against the disciples, torment, torture, and oppression against him, fear and horror he shows him, until he dies, passes away, and darkens, and his figure looks like you have never seen. When he comes out of the guard houses, his color is taken away from him. His color is taken away from him, and his figure looks like it has never been. Then he sits down in his vehicle and attracts bright rays. They stretch the strong brightness over him, and he begins his journey through the world. On the first day he appears. The top of the firmament opens. He emerges from the upper firmament to go to the rest of the lower sky until the second day, and does not shine its brightness over all the worlds until the seventh day of the month. He speaks in the voice of life. In the voice of life he speaks, because he has the fear and the fear of life in mind. When he is beyond the seventh day, he has already forgotten the fear and anxiety. He has forgotten fear and anxiety and evil, and hurls evils into the whole world. I tell and explain to you, you men who bear witness to life, be firm and endure the persecution in the decrepit house, because soon the Tibble will go down, and the two mountains will sink together. The two mountains will sink together, and the power of light will be taken from them. All the strength is taken away which they had to a great extent. Her figure becomes dark and contemptuous, and her figure looks like it has never looked before. The souls who have confessed to you, howling and screaming and crying from their place, they say to you, when we were in that world, your glory shone over all the worlds. We begat for you and worshipped you and praised you beyond measure. Why did your figure now become contemptible and become dark and sinister as they never have been? The planets had no enlightenment which you could give to your admirers about how it went, the planets and their souls and their worshippers and all their creations, but also the souls of the children of the great tribe of life will descend into the lower Sheol. You will fall into the great snake whose name is the Lord of darkness. But from that day on will your souls be redeemed and saved, the souls of our excellent brothers and of our faithful sisters. The souls of true and believing men will ascend and look at the great place of light. Life is held high and is victorious, and victorious is the man who went there. Fifth piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. The call of the pure Samziwa is whom the great life has brought forth from his mouth. The great one called him out of his mouth and created helpers for him. It created him pure and perfect, that they keep him company in his shkinta. It clothed him with 7 garments of splendor, light, and glory, and bestowed upon him the dominion of his treasury. It gave him dominion over the Uthras and the luminaries, as well as about the Jordans and shkintas of many place. It gave him dominions over the zealous manas and the splendor that looms in its place. It taught him about Shak, the great splendor of life, and about the place it chooses for life to be the perfect seat. It spoke to him of that world which is hidden from all light worlds. It created Hamgaiziwa, the son of Hamgagaiziwa, and gave him other helpers. It granted him the 7 hidden, pure, preserved mysteries by which he will be preserved in a perfect manner. It gave him power over the party of Yoraba, and said to him, Go, guard the age, take care of the tribe of souls, get him in order, and lead him up to his place. Then Yoraba he will be held down by your speech, and be without anxiety, fear, and anxiety, and the manna in you do not worry. Do not be scared by the cloud in which you are completely hidden. Be without fear and anxiety, and do not say, I am standing there alone. I gave you faithful helpers, and that they may protect you, I want them to protect you, and deliver you from all that is ugly. May they redeem you from the witchcraft and the rest, from Mashiach and the destruction of the 12 stars, the 7 planets, and let them deliver you from the sword and the ice, as well as the fire and the conflagration of the 5. Let loose the fires against the Tibble. When the malice oppresses you, our voice will reach you. When the wicked make plans against the tribe of souls and stir up fear and anxiety in them, so do not tremble and tremble in your place. And the 7 shall know nothing of your raiment, nor of the cloud in which you are sheltered. When you get into great anger, a letter from the Kushta will come to us from you. Then we want to send you a messenger, and we want to be a guardian to you. We will send you extended power, and extended and endless we will send you extended power, and great and mighty confidence from his place he will send you help, before which the 7 shall tremble. We will grant you hidden prayers and nitubtas that do not pass. We will grant you hidden prayers by which the outrages are kept down. Let your disciples find firmness who live in the empty apartment. They should cherish trust by virtue of your trust, and be redeemed by the 7. Of the 7 they shall be redeemed, and for this we and you know thanks. The Nazorians who are zealous will be a witness. Be their witness, and by your power they shall ascend to the place of light. They are to be enveloped in the northern air, the vine that came out of the abode of the mighty, the first life that has been raised. They shall be clothed with the garments of the great life, and be established in the light abode. They shall be established in the light abode, and be added to the city of Uthras. The Nazorians who are not zealous will sit over pride and anger. The Nazorians who are not zealous with strength and firmness, and their speech will be taken. They will be deprived of strength, firmness, and speech, and they will be beaten with a blow for which There is no cure. You will be beaten without finding a cure because they were first and foremost. You were the first and foremost, and look, and fear and horror. Every stroke of darkness took place with them through the word. Every stroke of light took place with them through the word. They did not stand, did not let themselves be warned, and did not know fear and anxiety. Fear and anxiety they did not know, and they did not see that they would separate from the world. Since they did not ponder and did not see, let them be erased from your name. Let them burn in the fires of the seven and become a part of the seven, and life is victorious. Sixth piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. I am Yoka Bar Kushta, who left my father's house and came here. I came with a hidden glow, and with light without end. I came to the men of proven justice, in which there is neither shortage nor ending. I brought him the reed, as the great life commanded me. I brought you secret speeches, so that they show their miraculous powers to the fiends. When Hybel was the guardian of the age, I was the messenger before him. I established the throne for him in his cloud, and I enlightened him in his garb. Then Hybel set me in his majesty about those who love his name. I brought you great powerful speech, which is miraculous and unlimited. I created them vehicles. I have granted them witness of many shapes. I granted them hidden prayers by which the planets and their tribes are captivated. I granted them steel skewers of living water by which the Hamerthas of the wicked house are buckled. I gave them swords of living water from which the giants of darkness are frightened. I gave them huge presses through which the whole root of darkness and blackness and water is compressed. It is good for the men of proven justice, how they sit in their vehicles, as you sit in your carriage, and the fiends of this world rush down. When Hybel was the guardian of the age, he called me Yoka Bar Kushta. He called me and made me a messenger, and set me as ruler over the men of tried and tested justice, as ruler over the men of tried righteousness, and I became their guardian. I showed myself, the planet and the 12 stars. Then they fell down from their vehicles. I became their helper, and by Yoka Bar Kushta's power, the poison of the spoilers became ineffective. Her figure became sinister, and the power of their chariots became paralyzed. They stood before the men of proven justice, and these obtained from them all that they sought in full, coming quickly. Then Sitil was the guardian of the age, and Nazarutha came into the world. Everything that was made and created came into being at that time. The separated men arose, who separated themselves from the world. The separated men arose. They didn't eat anything that the planets hid in. They did nothing of their works and were not cut off in the world of Siklun. Her figure did not become sinister, and her name is not cut off from the place of light. Then I, Yoka Bar Kushta, taught you the sprouts that have emerged from them. I spoke to you. Do not perform ungracious prayer and praise if the pita is not prepared for you. Do not give alms. Who donate the alms and does not prepare a pita will be beaten by 60 sticks of ice. With a scourge of fire he is beaten, and he will be tormented in the black water. When the persecution afflicts you and the lapsed mysteries worry you, when persecution afflicts you, speak and call with the voice of life. If you perform the prayer and do not prepare a pita and enjoy physical food, if you understand this mystery, then stand on your feet. Then stand on your feet and perform the prayer 61 times. When you perform this prayer, your sins and transgressions will be forgiven. You will be healed from the 61 blows, and you will not sink into the fire appliances. You will not sink into the fire appliances, and you will not be tormented in the 61 boiling kettles. When the men of proven justice left their bodies, the light went up from there. The light went up from here. The shining, miraculous root rose to a height. The goodness, the straightness, and the knowledge increased, and the brightness of the light was brought out of the decrepit house. He was taken from a dash of the Tibble and went and settled down in the place of verity. The keepers who here went, and they settled at the Jordan out of the place of the truthful, more and more strong and strong. They took the voice of life as well, the mixture of brightness that remained in the Tibble. It was hidden from the dull people in every place. The shine arose from her to the height, and the bright murmur remained. From that day on, the disciples will not be lifted up to the light from that land. They are tested and tormented until they wipe the dirt from themselves. Anyone who takes the dirt off himself will go up to the house of Abathur and be raised up there. Who does not wipe the dirt from himself goes out and perishes as if he had never been there. I call you and I explain, you true believing men. Sprouts will be from the last generation, will rise up through my word and my blessing. You will ascend by my blessing and will be strengthened in an excellent way. I will enlighten them so that you do not stumble in the world. He who stumbles will die and perish. Again I have enlightened you, who shines as in clear water. I will be a helper to him, a helper and a support from the place of darkness to the place of light, and life is victorious. Seventh piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. From the Shkinta of the mighty life, the great one called me. It called me, it gave me orders and strengthened me. The great one called me and gave me orders. He equipped me and sent me out into the ages, to the call of life, and to put gloss over the house, to call the call of life, and to plant the planting of the great plant, and to bring in Jordans in a perfect way, to write in a right way of planting, and to soak them with living resplendent water, to teach you wisdom, knowledge, and praise, extended and unlimited, to grant them the pure reputation by which they are to be consolidated in this world. They are to speak in the enlightenment of life, and wake up the sleeping ones, and make them get up. You should choose a way, and throw it up, and set up a boundary stone. Let them ascend with the knowledge that from the house of the great Biram, the son of life, they are to be taught about the souls who have come, who are worthy of the light abode. Let them shake up, let them be taught, let they that are to be created luminaries of a wondrous kind. Let them show you the great root of blessing, from which the mighty first life has emerged. The true and believing Nazorians, they will rise up and look at the place of light. The true and faithful Nazorians and excellent ones will not be held back in this world. You will not be held back in this world, and will not be held accountable in the great courts. They will not be judged, which is spoken about all beings. They will be found not guilty in the court, and do not fall into the great Suf sea, in which Ruha and Mashiach end, the 12 stars end. That's where the 7 planets, and they will be judged. That's where the 7 planets end, the sons of the lacking, the masters of the empty space, and the lords of the decrepit house. The Nazorians who are not worthy of the house of life, who have committed grave sin, their body is in error, and there was a shortage and a lack in them. If you also highly appreciate the treasure, the Ginza of the Tibble, and it is of no use to you, when you arrive at the great gate of the house of Abathur, you will be driven back from the gate of the house of Abathur. From the gate of the house of Abathur they will be chased back, and do not look at the place of light. You will not look at the knowledge which was created from the Shkinta of the first mighty life. It will be taken from you, and they will descend to the nature of the place of darkness. They will be deprived of the hidden prayers which they understand from the world. They will be deprived of the hidden orders of prayer, the well-equipped ships. They will be deprived of the Mass for the dead and the baptism, and these will ascend to the place from which they came. The hidden treasure will be taken from them. Men were, and it will be set up by the great Ura, the treasurer. The error will be torn out of the light, and blazing in the lowest Gehenna, he will fall into the boiling cauldrons and burn in the fire while it burns. He will look at the suffering of the planets and die a double death. Everyone who chooses in a perfect way, devoutly, truly, and will not be cut off from this place. The feast of faith is, he will not be cut off from this place, but he will be included in the expensive community. You will let him see the brightness of the root, and set it up in the hidden life in an excellent way. He will be clothed with a robe of splendor, which is miraculous and unlimited. He will be covered with a turban of light which shines and shines beyond measure. They will give him a belt of living water, around in which there is no pain and suffering. They will put an ether wreath on him which was taken from the vine of Rawaz, which he leaves when he leaves his body. There will a guide go to meet him, leading him up to the Shkinta of the great life, which is miraculous and unlimited, to the place where the great life is enthroned. No one came down from the height, and life is victorious. Eighth piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light, with the power of shining and the Sandarak tree. They created the Yawar and placed it over everything. They taught him about the knowledge which is miraculous and unlimited. They set him over the great mountain whose splendor is wondrous and whose light shines and looses beyond measure. They created enlightenment for him, through which he is enlightened. They bestowed upon him hidden speeches which are wondrous and foreign to the world. They taught him about the great Ura and about his image, the miraculous that is with him. They taught him about the great Nisab and the Shkintas which he founded at the place of light. They taught him about Zarzelziwa, the gentle, firm mana. They taught him about Yosmir's Uthra and the Shkintas he founded. Hibilziwa spoke to his creator as follows. He praised the great mighty Mana who had established his knowledge in a perfect way. He had taught, instructed, and enlightened him about the hidden things. He had taught him about the living baptism and the pure oil of his world. He had taught him about the Nazorians. When they leave their body, he spoke to him. Go to the Nazorians who are left behind in the world. Tell them, when you leave your body, you will ascend with the pure oil, because pure oil is important and expensive, that came from the house of the great life. Who does not ascend with the pure oil will be at the guardhouses. So Tahil must wait until he rises with 61 letters. Then he will be raised up in the worlds of light. He will look at the vine Tarl who who rests in the Jordan of the pure Tarwan. He will look at the tree Tatagmor, who rests at the Jordan of the Lord of greatness. He will look at the vine Rawaz, from which comes the blessing of light. From him comes the blessing, and all Uthras smell through its fragrance. He will look at the vine Yoshmir, who rests on the earth of Samziwa. He will look at the vine Sarhabel, who rests on the earth of Hibilziwa. He will look at the 7 tent roofs of splendor, of light, and of glory, who are curious about the miraculous vines. He will look at the 2 pure mountains, who sit quietly in their place. He will look at Yawar, the great splendor of life, the first vine, the one on the earth of the mighty. He will look at the vine Sar, first life rests, who is established on the earth of the first life. He will look at the vine Pirun, the one who rests on the earth, who made it firm and accomplished it. He will look at the great vine, who rests over the fruits of the predestined Yawar. He will look at the great vine, the educator of the souls of the infants raised by him. They drink from buds and rejoice, and their souls blossom. Their souls are blossoming and maintain existence in the world of light. He will watch the great Ura, who they will see the concealment that he has created for himself. He will watch Adatan and Yadatan, who sit at a gate of the house of life. He will watch Silmai and Nidbai, who dwell in the great hidden first cloud. He will live in that cloud and will be employed over all the Jordans. He will look at Yoshamin, the pure one, who rests under the streams of water. He will see the 4 men, the sons of salvation, who are an aid to the Nazorian people, a helper and a support, from the place of darkness to the place of light, and life is victorious. Ninth piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. I am the fragrance of the Uthras, who I went to and took a place in every faithful heart, the heart in which I took a seat. I enlightened and enlightened beyond measure. I enlightened and illuminated it beyond measure, brought prosperity and was left to dwell in it. I took the sigh out of it that the 7 brought to the bodies. The 7 brought it to the bodies and let it dwell in the dark hearts, who can be enlightened by enlightenment, who will be placed at the place of light. Who does not let himself be enlightened by enlightenment will be cut off from the place place of light. In my sense make considerations about it, how it happened, who has caught me away from my place, and my place from the circle of my parents who raised me, who brought me to the guilty, the sons of the void dwelling, who brought me to the rebels who wage war every day, who showed me the bitterness where there is no candy, who showed me the darkness where there is no light beam, who showed me the stinking water that turns on wheels. It turns on wheels, and his stench rises and reaches the firmament. When I was standing in my place, I scared myself and scared my soul. I told myself that I have no high helper, no man as a nurse. How I still stand in my place, the Great One heard me and did not condemn me. It sent me a high helper, sent me a man as a nurse. It sent me a gentle assistant. He came and saved me from everything. He spoke to me in vivid speech and saved me from the world. He called in a gentle voice and let my heart rest on his support. He taught me about praise, that I forgot the persecution of Tybalt. He spoke, O gentle Uthra, not by the will of the great life did you come here, did not come here according to the will of the great, not according to the will of the Uthras who are there, rather according to the will of the two Uthras it happened that they sent you, and sent you here. They sent you out, sent you here, and left you in the world. You stayed in her for so long and grew up in her. When your father liked it, if your father likes it, he will tell you how it went. I then spoke to my father, to the man who was appointed over me. Who are the two Uthras which were used over me? Who are the two Uthras who sent me out and sent me here? They sent me out and sent me here and left me in the world. That helper then spoke to me, the man who was used over me. Where is there a son who despised his father, that he sent you here and sent you? He sent and sent you here and left you in the world. You stayed in here for so long, when your father liked it, that it pleased your father, and he sent you helpers. He sent you helpers, and they spoke to you in vivid speech. Now, O gentle Uthra, get up and ascend to the house of your family, and curse the place of your carer's house, as long as you stayed and have lived in the seven were your opponents. The seven were your opponents. The 12 are your persecutors. The 12 were your persecutors, and they said, let us despise his works. Maybe we'll cut him off at our place. Maybe we'll cut him off at our place, and he takes part in our world. I talked to myself, researched in my mind, and answered my father, the gentle helper, the man who was appointed over me. When you know that there is a lack of me, cut me off in the abode of sinners. Then he spoke, O gentle Uthra, there was a surplus of you, not a shortage. To this I replied, my father, when you know that there is no lack of me, why did you do such harm to me? Then, when he heard this from him, he took it out of his body. He clothed him with a robe of splendor, and put a precious wreath on him. He broke their guard-houses, and led him out of the world with pomp. With pomp he led him out of the world, and supported him on the earth of the great life. He supported him on the earth of the great throne. Up went the Uthra. Then they built him a great throne, and he took a seat on it. I want to tell you, you great, I want to tell you, you mighty ones, how it happened. If you do this to me, should there be no shortage of your grape harvest in the sinking Tybalt, the age decreased, and the persecution really depressed her. Sit there, Uthra, orderly, well-ordered Uthra. We know well that there is a shortage of your grape harvest in the sinking Tybalt. The age decreased, and the persecution was very much unleashed against them. You were redeemed and ascended, Uthra, and whoever is able to do it, let him ascend after you. Life is upheld and is victorious, and victorious is the man who went here. 10th piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. I am talking to my image. Come on, you, and I want to build and create. We want to build with hidden reputation, build in the miraculous fruit, until we produce fruits, until we produce helpers. Praise me, and I will praise you. We want to be kept in rich splendor, and keep each other in order in an excellent way. Maybe Uthras will be created by us, and then praise us, mighty ones. When he said this, he thought of a companion. On a companion he thought in the miraculous fruit. He spoke and sang, I want to create a companionship to my right, and will create lights to my left. I want to create messengers of life. those who are hidden from me. He replied and spoke, and the image of the expensive mana when you create messengers will the wickedness of the tribe of your planting become apparent. Your planting of wickedness will expand and stretch because of the lack of the world. There will be a lie in her. There is shock in the world. Then I replied and spoke to my exceedingly wondrous image. We thought, and now we do not want to plant a planting, for it becomes of lack and failure. Lack and failure come from it, and shock arises in the world. I bowed and bowed to my companion, and accepted from her expensive kushta. We entered devices and hid, and she agreed to my companion. When the first ones were there, to think about the second. When the second ones were there, to think about the third parties. When the third came, to think about the fourth. From the fourth there was a shortage and a failure. A lack and a failure came from you, and shock arose in the world. He replied and spoke, the image of the expensive manna, didn't I tell you that we do not want to plant a planting? We do not want to plant a planting because out of it comes lack and failure. Lack and failure come from it, and shock arises in the world. Then he answered and said, for his most miraculous image, how should we create the world that is supposed to be left to destruction? In it men of proven justice will spread, and let the call of life rise up there. Some of them will rise up with the roots, some of them are held back in the world. Who has the strength to do so and sets himself free will rise up and look at the place of light. Who has the strength to do so and still does not set himself free will be left behind in the world. In the world he will be left behind, and his place of residence will be of the world. We want to call the messenger, the planting of the mighty life. We want to commission him and send him there, that is there. He should bring up here. He redeems the gentle manas. Redeem the dear mana, he redeems the expensive mana. And let this one be a good one in the house of perfection. I called and commissioned the great, and put his wisdom over me. It lay over me the well-preserved figure, which is kept hidden for me. It put love over me, which should be sent to my friends. It put gentle speech over me, where I should talk to my friends. I am supposed to talk to my friends, and deliver them from the ephemeral. I am supposed to redeem you from the faulty, which they created by themselves. It warns me and commands me like a father who commands his sons. It feeds me and kisses me like a father kissing his son. It warns me and protects me, and it stays firmly with his speech. It speaks, we will send you treasurer. Come quickly with the messengers. Come quickly with the messengers, and bring us the planting of the mighty. Why do you want to stay in the Tibble? Why do you beat back and forth in the ephemeral? Why do you leave the pure robe, and are you dressing in the rebellious garb? Why do you leave the gentle secrets and step into the ephemeral secrets? Do not leave the beloved cooperative and love the cooperative of the ephemeral. Do not leave the living speech and love the talk of the ephemeral. When the great so spoke to me, I bowed and bowed in a perfect manner. Why are you talking to me like that? Why did my heart fall into discord? My heart has fallen into discord, and my eyes squeezed together with a tear. With a tear my eyes squeezed together, until I whined and cried in my place. Is there anyone who stayed in the house of the great life, and then loved the talk of the ephemeral? Is there anyone who would leave the pure garment, and dressed in the rebellious garb? Is there anyone who would leave the beloved cooperative, and the cooperative of the ephemeral love? Is there anyone who would leave the speech of gentleness, and love the speech of the ephemeral? Then it spoke to me. We told and explained to you, don't drag yourself back and forth in the ephemeral, because from the second, who has the eldest, there was a shortage and a failure. Deficiency and malformation formed from it, and the shock came into the world through him. When Mandadahaya called it life and spoke to it, come quickly and protect your sons. Come on, take care of your sons and bless them with your blessing. With your blessing bless them, with which you have blessed your sons, the Uthras. It blessed me with its blessing, and spread his glory over me, spread over me from his planting. I bowed and bowed to life, and came into the world. I bowed and bowed to life, and spoke to my wondrous voice, and spoke in my wondrous voice. I went to the Shkintas, the good Uthras who created them. When the Uthras saw me, they bowed down and praised me beyond measure. They praised the Uthra of glory, from which all truth has come. They spoke to him, "Where are you going, son of the shining beings? Where life has sent you here?" I replied to them, "I'm going to the deep, which is quite stinking, and among the works that are not properly created, the works that the Uthras created, which are hidden in their place." So they spoke to him, "Go, set up and bring up your planting victoriously. Come up with us and let us plant you, so that we may be associated with you as helpers, and walk with the power of life, and be a perfect guide to you. The king of the ether blessed you, and you went to the tibble of impermanence." When the wicked saw me, they fell down and fell on their faces. They fell down, fell on their faces, and went to the great soup sea. "We've been watching you, man. Your form is not ours." So I turned and spoke to the wicked and liars who dwell in this world. "Where did you get the robe that enlightens your figure? Where did you get this smell which makes the smell of your stench pleasant? Life has sent me. I came here to conquer the tribe. Life was grateful to the Uthras, who have risen from the Tibble, and life is victorious." 11th piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. When I, Anush Uthra, came in this world, there I came calling the call of life, and set up the planting of life. I spoke and performed with my voice, and awakened the elect in the world. I called with a noble voice. I roused the sleeping ones, and made them get up. I grew younger, and among them some of them are worthy of the place of light. Who said to the Uthra, who taught the defective and faulty, who told the liar that the strange man has gone here, who told the Ruha that she stuck her head with her hands. With her hands she hit the head and pulled out the curls on her head. She pulled out the curls on her head and cried, "Woe to me, woe to me." Ruha spoke in anger, and in league with her those came out. Ruha spoke in anger and called together their firstborn sons. She spoke to them, "Come, come, my firstborn sons, listen to what I tell you. Come on, sinners on evil, and we want to create a party in the world. We want to create a party in the world under the trunk of the strange man who went here." On it the 7 stars gathered and went to Rutha Kadusha. They spoke to her, "With what sound we start a party within this world?" Then she replied to them, "Come on, we want to lie together, and all of our secrets of all, we want to take and form an equity with it. We want to form a structure with it and build the place of Jerusalem." Then the 7 stars went at it, and they lay down with their mother. They lay down with their mother and took away their common secret. From their common secret they took, and they built the place of Jerusalem. They built the city of Jerusalem and left fornication, corruption, and fornication in it. They spoke, "Everyone who has seat in the place of Jerusalem will not mention the name of God." Then the 7 stars arose, and Namrus, the mother of the world, the 7 stars rose, and they came on their 7 chariots. They arrived on their 7 wagons, and descended from the firmaments to the earth. They left this world, and they came to Bethlehem. Ruha then spoke to her sons, spoke to the worthless fiends, "My sons, leave your vehicles down. We want to build it, Jerusalem, in this place." There came a voice from the cloud of Anush Uthra, and spoke to Ruha Kadusha, "From the site where this place is being built there will be disciples." Then she cried out in a shrieking voice and screamed. She spoke to her 7 sons, on, my 7 sons, don't build it in this place. An evil, unclean curse got over your vehicles. Get in your vehicles and go away from that place." They left that place and arrived at Bet Metalieh. Ruha then spoke to her sons, spoke to the worthless fiends, "My sons, leave your vehicles down. We want to build it on this site." There came a voice from the cloud of Anush Uthra, and spoke to Ruha Kadusha, "From the site where this place is being built, there will be 365 disciples." That's when Ruha Kadusha spoke, and spoke to the planets, on, my 7 sons. A letter of anger has come to us. Come on, get in your vehicles and go away from that place." They left that place and went to the town of Kraknasab. Then Ruha Kadusha spoke, and spoke to the planets, "My sons, leave your vehicles down. We want to build on this site." There came a voice from the cloud of Anush Uthra, and spoke to Ruha Kadusha, "From the site where the place is being built, there will be 365 disciples." Then Ruha spoke in anger and spoke to the planets. On, my 7 sons. Listen to what I am telling you. On we want to go, before the big life comes here. Then the 7 planets rose, and they departed from that place. They got up, sat down in their wagons, and continued their journey in the world. They continued their journey in the world until the wings of their carriages fell out. Then Namrus spoke to them, the mother of the world. My sons, put down your vehicles. We want to build on this site. At this site we want to build, because the path has come to an end. To this the planets responded and spoke to Namrus, the mother of the world. Yes, our strength is inhibited, and the wings of our vehicles have failed. Yes, we want to talk after your speech and build on this site. The 7 stars gathered and practiced sorcery and witchcraft. Sorcery and witchcraft drove them and did not call the name of God. They went at it, kneaded the first brick, and they built the place of Jerusalem. Then came a voice from the cloud of Anush Uthra and spoke to Ruha Kadusha. From the support on which this place is built there will be 365 disciples. Then Ruha Kadusha spoke and spoke to the planets. Come, come, my 7 sons, save him to whom God is a helper. They built Jerusalem. In it the Jews settled. They bestowed upon them the works of darkness, and the 7 said a blessing over them. They called forth protective angels, fish of the sea, and feathered birds, and summoned them with oaths. They summoned her with oaths, and they gave it to the Jews in Jerusalem. They spoke a blessing over her, and they found everything they were looking for to a great extent. The 7 pillars emerged, from which all falsehood and falsehood emanated. The Jews multiplied in the desert wasteland. The Jews multiplied, and then came the time to form an appendix. I took physical shape, and he brought me to Jerusalem. I spoke with my voice and performed and became a physician of the Miryai. I became a doctor of the Miryai and healed them from scratch. I was called a doctor of the Kushta. He heals without taking wages. I led Miryai down and baptized her in the Jordan. I drew them with the pure sign. By Miryai the perfect, Yakif and Bnei Amin went out. By Yakif and Bnei Amin have gone out 365 younger, and 365 elders have emerged in the city of Jerusalem. The Jews got angry and killed my disciples who pronounced the name of life. When I saw her, I was filled with anger and evil anger at them. I became angry and angry with them and ascended to the great life. I told my father how it happened in his place. I also told him how the 7 acted in this world. When he heard this from me, he gave me a letter in anger. He gave me a letter in anger against the place of Jerusalem. He who told the Ruha, who taught the error and deficient, who told the liar that the white R has ascended to the place of Jerusalem. She calls her crowds together, and together all of their Hamarthas. They then calls the 7 stars together to sit down and make a complaint. She speaks, Woe to you, place of Jerusalem, that the R has ascended to you. Woe to the Jews who should be killed in anger and rage. Ruha Kadusha then steps down and bows to Anush Uthra. She speaks to him, By your life, Anush Uthra, do not destroy this place of Jerusalem that I have built. To this he replied, Namrus, the mother of the world, who is an adversary of the light, and dies a second death. The Jews in their fear, they hid in the different quarters. Then he spoke to him, Namrus, the mother of the world, just let me, I want to blow up the gates of the wall above them, that they will be killed on the spot. The Jews are to be killed who have sinned against your disciples. Then I hit her with the club of brilliance and spoke to her, Get away from me, I came in anger have I come, in anger, life sent me here. Life sent me here in anger to devastate the place of Jerusalem. Column after column I threw down and brought them down from their place. I destroyed the pillar of Israel, which was a persecution from my disciples. I destroyed the pillar of Yaakov, who stood at the gate of Jerusalem. I threw down the pillar of Adonai, which rose up in the center of Jerusalem. I destroyed the column Zatan, which stood on the outer wall. I threw down the pillar of Shimei, which stood on the inner wall. I threw down the pillar Karkum, where all the angels lived. I tied up the great tower in which the guardians of the place of Jerusalem dwelt. I devastated the place of Jerusalem in which the blood of my disciples was shed. I killed the Israelites who were a persecution to the tribe of light, all feathered birds and ugly animals that have come out of them, the monkeys and wolves who have come out of them, and all evil animals against which anger was. Anger was against her, and they shall come to an end on the great day of the end. But my disciples were given security, who endured the persecution in Jerusalem. I destroyed the house, those who were without goodness, and life is victorious. 12th piece. In the name of the great life, be glorified by the noble light. At the top of the pure wreath which the great life sent, it created a gentle Uthra. It created the gentle Uthra and lifted him up to the Shkinta of the great. It spoke to the gentle, firm Uthra. Gentle, firm Uthra, take strength and abundance from the life enthroned in this Shkinta. A crown equal to the pure crown are you on our head. Take rich shine with you, and light without end. Take a light in your right hand, and 2 Uthras shall come with you. Sit in a saving cloud with gentle, firm speeches. Take away from the prayers which we do. Take our enlightenment with you, which is neither lacking nor lacking. Go there in the gathering cloud.